Hi, my name's Abby O'Connell, and I chose Sestina by Elizabeth Bishop to compare to Truth Be Told by Matthew West. And so I want to start by talking about just today's world and how people walk around with metaphorical masks, like depicted here, every single day. And people ask you, like, how are you doing? And your, like, immediate response is, good, how are you, in most cases. Unless the person you're very close to um, is going to dive deep enough, you're really not going to tell them your whole life story and if you're having a bad day and why you're having a bad day. Cecina by Elizabeth Bishop is a poem that basically uses like personification and descriptions to depict the grandmother and the child in their home. It has a sorrowful and calm tone, and the reason I'm comparing it to Truth Be Told by Matthew West, which is a contemporary Christian worship song that also highlights sorrowful moments in one's life. Um, I just think that they are both similar in ways of depicting how a person can be miserable and truly putting on a face, even for their loved ones, but they both also highlight hope throughout the story being told. Um, so, Innocence and Hope, I want to talk about this because I think it's first to note how the child produces this innocence, and I feel like due to this innocence and like the child, I feel like it creates an aspect of hope within the poem that might be a little bit harder to see because the poem is pretty sorrowful and like it mentions like tears, just a lot of hiding of emotions by the grandmother. Um, but one of the lines that really stood out to me was, "With crayons the child draws a rigid house in a winding pathway. Then the child puts in a man with buttons like tears and shows it proudly to the grandmother." So the innocence of this child obviously shows that he or she does not know what's going on. But the last line really stood out to me in producing the aspect of hope, um, and that's why I feel like I'm able to compare it to Truth Be Told because personally, um, the reason I chose Truth Be Told is because when I was first becoming a Christian, it gave me that sense of hope, and knowing that we're not all perfect, um, which is why one of the lyrics is, "Can I really stand here unashamed, knowing that your love for me won't change? Oh God, if that's really true, then let the truth be told." Um, that just really, it's the sense of hope that, God gave to me, that, no matter what my sin was, there's always that hope because He is truly great and always will be. And I just really connected the two of like the proudness of the child, like showing his picture, and like that I feel like it just makes me like feel like there's happiness coming from that child and just like a little bit of hope that it's giving the grandmother because obviously she's struggling. um and yeah, so that's just how I really think that those the song and the poem intertwine really well in that sense. um and then the another lyric was, "I say I'm fine, yeah I'm fine, oh I'm fine, hey I'm fine." And that's just kind of how the grandma was acting, and it kind of leads me to my next point of using laughter to hide. Um, in the poem, it says, "In the failing light, the old grandmother sits in the kitchen with the child beside the little marble stove, reading the jokes from the almanac, laughing and talking to hide her tears." So I also have the same verse. I say I'm fine, yeah I'm fine, oh I'm fine, hey I'm fine, below that because, you know, in this, no matter what the grandma is doing, she's um, acting like she's fine for the child that, because no matter what, he or she is not gonna it's a child, so they're really not gonna understand if like the grandma just like bursts out crying. So those really intertwine in the sense of like, we're all like she's hiding it and like basically saying like she's fine by just like laughing and talking, and but while she's actually crying, whether it's on the inside or outside, visibly or not, that she's okay when she's not. So she's using that as a coping mechanism to hide. And I just, everybody, and back to like in today's world, when people ask you how you're doing, and you're just like, "I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. How are you?" Blah blah blah. It's really highlights the fact that we're not always fine, and like a lot of times I think, there's a saying like where the happiest people and they laugh the most are the most miserable. So keeping the tears in life under control. So the tears I felt like remained under control throughout the whole poem, and the grandma was basically just secretly miserable, which is why I picked. But secretly, while the grandmother busies herself about the stove, and the little moon falls down like tears. So she's busying herself, keeping herself busy, maybe to try to, she's doing it to try to hide the tears and hide, the what's going on in her life, and that is something that I feel like most people do. You occupy yourself to where they're not, it's not, you're not thinking about whatever you're going through. And the Matthew West verse I chose was, "And when it's out of control, I say it's under control." Because a lot of people, these two, lines I feel like represent each other pretty well, because, the grandmother here is acting like she has everything under control, and so are the lyrics in his song, and that's just like what most people do. You keep everything under control until maybe you get to a breaking point, and we didn't see the grandma get to a breaking point in the poem, obviously, but, it's just something that's prevalent, I feel. And that I personally relate to, in the sense of years ago, like 2 years ago, when I was first becoming a Christian, when it felt like my life was out of control and I was losing hope in a lot of things and a lot of personal problems, that, I was just always like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And this song really helped me realize that, like, I don't always have to be okay. Overall, I just think that these two, I immediately wanted to pick Sestina and Truth Be Told, because it just made sense in my head from personal experiences and how they both related to, like, the grandmother being just hiding everything, holding it all in. Basically, it seemed like for the child, and I feel like that I did that, and a lot of people do that on a daily basis. Just holding everything in and not letting it out. And I just feel like this song and the poem really um, come together well.